Hello, and welcome to the Snippets of Leadership podcast. So I've just ended a live webinar presentation that I was giving about emotional intelligence in leadership. And I was asked a very interesting question that I want to share with you. Basically, we know that emotional intelligence is important. We know that it can do great things. We know that it's not just about being self-aware, just about being mindful. It's actually a skill that requires work and a process, and we can agree on all of this. But when it comes to doing it with a team, when it comes to selling, in a way, this idea to C-level, to the rest of your team, to get people to follow you on your path because you know how great and useful it can be for the team, for the company. How do you do it? And it's a fair question because, well, most of us, whenever we hear the words emotional intelligence, our immediate tendency is to get defensive. And I blame this 100% on the fact that we have been told for some reason, not exactly sure which one, to think that emotions have very little place in the world of work, which is, I still to this day don't understand why. Why should you remove them completely from the way you work and interact with other people professionally? It would be just as absurd as allowing them to run free without any constraint and any control in your life. That's also not acceptable. But why is one of these two extremes so absurd to hear, and why is the other one, removing emotions from your professional life, okay? So, in order to avoid that reaction and still manage to sell this idea, what do you do? And the best way I've found to do this, that I want to share with you, is not to mention emotional intelligence. Don't even talk about it. Don't mention those two words that will provoke an opposite reaction, that will make people feel defensive and want to go back into their shell. That said, I'm not saying don't talk about emotional intelligence. Maybe present parts of it. And most importantly, if your idea is to inspire others to follow on your journey, present them with the end result. What do you want? Why do you want to become more emotionally intelligent as a leader? Because you want to have a better relationship with your team. You want to have less stress, less conflicts. You want to be more resilient. You want to perform more. And let's be honest, if you want to stroke your ego a bit, you want to be an inspiring figure for others. You want to be remembered as one of their good leaders. So all of these are points that you can use to sell this idea. And of course, I'm not a salesman. I'm not talking about manipulating others. I'm talking about how can you take their perspective when it comes to emotional intelligence and pair it together with what you know, with the idea that it's something important, that it has some effects. One example is looking at how emotional intelligence can build trust. If the people are driven by numbers, the ones in front of you, well, think about showing how emotional intelligence in leadership and in a company builds trust, and how trust is connected to performance. It's connected to stress reduction, is connected to better productivity and more commitment to the team and to leadership. This is, again, one of my favorite studies. It's called The Neuroscience of Trust by Paul J. Zak. You can find it on HBR. And for me, it's a fantastic way of putting some numbers on everything we're talking about. So, wrapping it up, whenever you're trying to convince somebody to embark on a journey, whether it's a fellow leader or whether it's your team that wants to go on with you, but you're afraid that you cannot really go head first into talking about emotional intelligence, empathy, mindfulness, you name it, maybe skip those words. Go around it and look at the end result. Present the end result that the other person longs to achieve. And once you have that, follow up on it. Show the methodology, show the exercises, share your experience. have the person buy into this idea in order to achieve the result. You're not mentioning emotional intelligence, you're not naming the process, who cares? You're still doing the job, you're still getting all those amazing results, and you're still inspiring others to go on the same journey with you. What do you think? Does this make sense? I had a brilliant conversation during this webinar about it, and I would love to know your opinion as well on this point. Stay safe. Talk soon. Thank you for listening. My name is Edoardo Binda Zane from EBZ Coaching. I'm a leadership and communication trainer and consultant. And if you have any questions about what you've heard in this episode, please reach out to me via LinkedIn, Facebook, or my website. I'll be answering the most interesting questions on the show. And if you know someone that will benefit from this type of content, please make sure you recommend this podcast to them. Thank you, and see you next time.